Hello everybody, it's Revan here, and before I get into the actual topic of this video, as you see by the title of what this video is called, I wanted to ask what I can do to improve my content and commentary or whatever for future videos, because I want to try and make changes and improve things as I go on and make videos. So please comment down below. Give me some feedback. I want to know what you guys like and what you guys don't like. Okay, so aside from that, let's get into the actual topic of the video, which is, will there be more DLC after DLC Pack 4 for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2? And the simple answer from my perspective, is no, there won't be. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because Rhymestyle, who's a very popular Dragon Ball YouTuber, probably the most popular one that I'm aware of, brought this up in one of his random videos, I think that he did, one of his random battle videos, and I just wanted to talk about it because I felt like it was an interesting topic, and what he said was, his basic opinion, or speculation, or general thought was, because they said that they're going to support the game for a whole year, that there was a possibility of there being another DLC pack after Pack 4, and my argument to that is, my disagreement with that is the fact that support is a very vague term. It's intentionally vague, because support can mean anything. Support can mean anything as simple as a patch. It can mean anything as simple as just the World Tournament events. Letting those, putting those up. It can be as simple as the raids. Putting those up in the game, like continuing to offer those. It could be as simple as the Frieza Siege stuff. It can be all those things. It doesn't even have to be a patch. It can just be those events. And that would be considered supporting the game for a whole year. If once they got DLC Pack 4 out and they get that patch out for that pack, they'll most likely just run the World Tournament events they have planned, the raids they have planned, and the Frieza Siege events they have planned. Like when those will go up, when those will go live, and what rewards they give you. It's very unlikely they are going to do more patches for the game to fix things. There will probably be I predict there will be maybe one more patch that will fix some of the stuff that Pack 4 introduces, and maybe fix some of the things they didn't fix in the previous patch, or they didn't address properly, or something along those lines. But I guarantee you there will not be any more patches after, one more patch after Pack 4. So I'm thinking they'll probably stop patching the game in, August or September. The reason why I think this is because, that's when they'll have, they have the whole year of support goes until October. That is where the deadline is for them to stop supporting the game. And so I feel that they're going to stop doing the patches around August, September, and the only amount of support by then will be World Tournament and raids and Frieza Sieges. And that will be considered support for the game. And then another reason, okay, so that isn't really the main reason, but it is one of the main reasons that they can get away with just saying support and then doing those things. Because it's really, really, really unlikely that they will funnel more money into the game and then not get any of that money back and then some. So what that means is, in order for them to do a 5th DLC pack, they need to see the potential profit/revenue from it. And because there's going to be less people overall playing the game since it released a year ago, they're not going to make nearly as much money as they did when they announced the Season Pass last year, and all those people that were buying the game at the beginning bought not just the game, but also the Season Pass at full price of $30. So they made $90 on the game in that sense, because of the launch hype and all that stuff. They won't make any of that. They won't make the same amount of volume of profit at this point by having a 5th DLC pack that is $10 and adds three other characters. They're not going to make nearly as much money. They're not going to make the same amount they put into it to make that pack happen. So therefore, the incentive for them to do a 5th DLC pack is just not there. Not to mention the fact they have to pay the people who work on the game. They have to pay those people that do that DLC. And probably who is left doing the DLC is essentially what I call a skeleton crew, which would be a group of maybe 20 to 50 developers, probably half the size of the amount of people that actually worked on the full game, because the other rest of the team is obviously working on Xenoverse 3 at this point. There's no way that the whole team is working on these DLC packs that have been coming out for Xenoverse 2 since when did it start? I guess it was February, wasn't it? I guess it was February when they started putting these packs out. It's hard to actually recall when it actually started. But anyway, it's unlikely they've had the whole team work on the DLC, and this is how most DLC is dealt with. They have a portion of the development team working on the DLC, not everybody. DLC and patches. Just a small portion of the development team, because it saves money for the publisher, and then, of course, it just makes sense because it's smaller pieces of content being made. And that's why, like, the story content for these DLC are so short, because they're not trying to be on the same length of quality as the full game story content tends, how it spans 10 hours of story. Instead, it's only like 30 minutes of story. So they're not going to funnel more money into this game for DLC. That is just not going to happen. They're not going to make the money back, and they're not going to then make more money than what they put into it, because the player base is smaller. Their potential customer base for that DLC is smaller. It's true. There might be still plenty of people playing this game as far as matchmaking goes and stuff. And like, I definitely never have to wait too long for matches, but the amount of people that are playing it is definitely smaller than it was when the game first launched in October of last year. So their potential consumer base is just not worth it. It's just not worth it for another DLC pack. Demand as we might for it, our demand doesn't matter, because we don't clearly have enough people to support that kind of extra pack. Now, a lot of you will probably point to Naruto Storm 4 and bring up how, that game had a season pass and 3 DLC packs, and then they got an expansion a year later. They got more DLC a year later. Well, here's the thing, okay? There's two things that set Storm 4 apart from Xenoverse 2. One is that Storm 3 already set the precedent for as somewhat of an expansion DLC, where they get a new story chapter and like 1 or 2 new characters. For like $15 to $20. They already set that precedent with Full Burst for Storm 3. Then the other thing that separates it is that the value for the Season Pass for Storm 4 was garbage. You really didn't get anything out of packs 1 or 2 as someone who likes to actually just play the game for the fighting gameplay itself. You got crappy adventure mode stuff. You got old costumes from Storm 3 and I guess maybe even Storm 2. I'm not 100% sure. And you got ultimate jutsus that you may or may not be able to see very often depending on how good you are at the game. For those first 2 packs. And then the 4th pack was the Sound 4. Garbage value. I doubt many people actually ended up buying the Season Pass for that game in the end. Thus, they probably didn't make much money back on doing that Season Pass. Then, there's the fact that Cyber Connect 2 does not support their games very well post-launch. They did like 3 or 4 patches for Storm 4, like 3 months after it came out. In a 3-month span after it came out, and then they dropped support for it completely. And the reason why they dropped support for it completely, in hindsight, is because they were working on Road to Boruto. They were already planning on working on Road to Boruto at that point. Or not just planning, but they were already in motion of doing it. And so they felt that there was enough potential customers to sell that DLC to be able to work on it and do it, and they think they could make more money off of that back than what the Season Pass probably made. Just my guess. And so there's that, and then there's the fact that the game itself was, it was in a worse state by them not patching it. So, in that sense, yes, like I could see why many people would bring up Storm 4 as like an argument for a potential reason why Xenoverse 2 should probably also get, or we should maybe try to hope for a 5th pack. But what I'm trying to say is that is so unlikely for this game because the season pass for this game probably sold very well. And it's a good value. The season pass for this game is a good value. You might disagree because of all the free pack stuff, but what the main attraction is for these for this DLC for Xenoverse 2 are the characters. And yes, the characters vary in terms of quality, but the fact you're getting at least 2 characters per pack, 3 and DLC pack 3, that's definitely way more value than what you got out of the Storm 4 DLC packs. But yeah, like ultimately they are unlikely to do a DLC pack 5. What support basically means, just to sum all this up, what support means, 1 year of support means is that it means they are going to support the game for 1 year, which can include the minimum of just putting world tournaments on, raids on, and Frieza Siege events on. They don't even have to do any patches, so they can just do all of that in the last couple of months of the game's life, and then they would meet their claim of supporting the game for 1 year. And Xenoverse 1 had a similar kind of thing. They had some events that they tried to do to make it so it would last the full time they said they would do it, and that's ultimately what happened. They didn't do any more patches, and the game was done. Because they had to work on Xenoverse 2, and that's what's going to happen here. Xenoverse 3 will come out next year, and that will be where their focus will be once September rolls around. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. So if you like the video, please do leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below about anything about what I said. And like I said, definitely give me feedback about what I can do to improve my content, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.